He was a successful banker, framed for a brutal double murder he didn't commit. Sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences, his world crumbled, thrusting him into the brutal reality of Shawshank Prison. But within these stone walls, a 20-year plan for freedom was about to unfold. One that would take him through 500 yards of filth you can't even imagine. The story begins in 1947, with Andy Dufresne in court. The prosecutor paints a damning picture: a broken bourbon bottle, footprints, tire tracks, and bullets riddled with his fingerprints. His wife and her lover were found dead, and Andy was the prime suspect. The prosecutor argues this wasn't a crime of passion, but a cold-blooded act of revenge. Not 6 shots fired but 8. That means that he fired the gun empty and then stopped to reload so that he could shoot each of them again. Despite his claims of innocence, Andy's quiet demeanor is mistaken for remorselessness. The judge, seeing an icy man before him, sentences him to 2 life sentences, one for each victim. The iron gates of Shawshank slam shut, and Andy's new life begins. Among the seasoned inmates is Red, a man who can get things. He and his friends watch the new arrivals at night. Red sizes up the tall, quiet banker and bets against him, thinking he looks too soft for this world. The newcomers are greeted by the cruel Captain Hadley and the sanctimonious Warden Norton. You eat when we say you eat, you shit when we say you shit, and you piss when we say you piss. You got that, you maggot dick motherfucker. The warden presents himself as a man of God, a believer in discipline and the Bible. Your ass belongs to me, welcome to Shawshank. The dehumanizing process continues, stripped naked, hosed down with delousing powder, and thrown into a cell. As darkness falls, the true terror begins. The inmates start their ritualistic taunting of the new prisoners. I know a couple of big old bull queers that just love to make your acquaintance, especially that big white mushy buddy of yours. God, I don't belong here, we have a winner. A heavy-set inmate, nicknamed Ass, breaks down, crying for his mother. His cries attract the attention of Captain Hadley, who brutally beats him for making noise. I ain't gonna count to 3, I am not even gonna count to 1. You will shut the fuck up, or I'll sing you a lullaby. The man is dragged away, never to be seen by the others again. He dies in the infirmary. Through it all, Andy Dufresne remains silent. Red loses his 2 packs of cigarettes. Life in Shawshank is a monotonous routine. At breakfast, Andy discovers a maggot in his food. An old inmate, Brooks, asks for it to feed his pet crow, Jake. The inmates learn that the man Hadley beat to death was the one they had bet on. When Andy quietly asks for the man's name, he is met with hostility. In this place, individuality is a liability. After a month of silence, Andy finally approaches Red in the prison yard. He maintains his innocence, a common claim in Shawshank, where everyone seems to be innocent. Andy has a peculiar request, a rock hammer. He claims it is for his old hobby of rock collecting. Red is suspicious, worrying it could be used as a weapon or for an escape attempt. Andy reassures him, joking that anyone trying to tunnel out with such a small tool would need 600 years. Red agrees to get it for $10. A small tool, a small seed of a plan, is planted. Meanwhile, the predatory gang known as the Sisters eyes Andy. Neither are they have to be human first, they don't qualify. Red wants him to be careful. The quiet banker's walk, his air of being untouched by the prison, sets him apart. It is as if he wears an invisible coat that shields him from the filth of Shawshank. Red gets the rock hammer. Seeing its tiny size, he finally understands Andy's joke. It truly would take a lifetime to escape with it. The sisters ambush Andy in the laundry projection room. He fights back but is brutally beaten. For 2 years, this becomes his routine, and then more routine, punctuated by vicious assaults. Just when it seems the prison might break him, an opportunity arises in the spring of 1949. A detail to resurface the license plate factory roof, a chance to work outdoors. On the roof, Andy overhears the notoriously cruel Captain Hadley, complaining about an inheritance tax. In a moment of incredible audacity, Andy, the former banker, approaches him. Risking a fatal fall, he offers Hadley tax advice. He explains how Hadley can legally give the money to his wife, tax-free. His price, not money, but something far more valuable in Shawshank. I think a man working outdoors feels more like a man, if you can have a bottle of suds. It is only my opinion, sir. And so, the convict crew sits on that roof, drinking icy cold beer, feeling like free men, if only for a moment. They were the lords of all creation, courtesy of Andy Dufresne. Andy himself doesn't drink, he just watches with a small knowing smile, having bought them a moment of normalcy. This act earns Andy a degree of respect and a powerful, if reluctant, protector in Captain Hadley. Later, Andy asks Red for another item, a poster of Rita Hayworth. The sisters corner him again, but this time, the outcome is different. Box, their leader, is left a permanent invalid after a brutal beating arranged by Hadley's men. A quiet thank you for the tax advice. The sisters never touch Andy again. As a welcome back gift, Red's crew gathers polishing rocks for Andy's chess set. Red delivers the poster, and it finds its place on Andy's cell wall. Soon after, during a surprise cell inspection, Warden Norton discovers Andy's Bible. "I'd hate to deprive you of this. Salvation lies within." Impressed by Andy's financial acumen, the warden reassigns him to the prison library, officially as an assistant to Brooks. In reality, it is a front. The library becomes Andy's office, where he manages the financial affairs of nearly every guard in the prison, and eventually, the warden's own corrupt schemes. Andy decides to expand the library and begins writing a letter a week to the state senate, requesting funds. Years pass. The letters continue. His financial services for the guards become an institution in themselves. Then, a crisis. Brooks, the elderly librarian who has been inside for 50 years, is granted parole. Terrified of the outside world, he holds a knife to a fellow inmate's throat, desperate to commit another crime to stay in prison. "It is the only way they let me stay." Red explains the grim reality of being institutionalized. First you hate them, then you get used to them. Enough time passes, you get so you depend on them. That is institutionalized. Brooks is released. The world outside is fast, confusing, and lonely. He can't adapt. In a heartbreaking letter to his friends, he describes his fear and despair. Unable to cope, he carves himself. His story serves as a chilling prophecy for the other long-timers. After 6 years of relentless letter writing, the state finally sends $200 and a donation of used books. Andy's response. 1. Among the donated records, Andy finds a copy of Mozart's Figaro. In another act of beautiful defiance, he locks himself in the warden's office and broadcasts the soaring duet over the prison's PA system. "I like to think they were singing about something so beautiful. It can't be expressed in words and makes your heart ache because of it. I tell you, those voices soared higher and farther than anybody in a gray place dares to dream. It was like some beautiful bird flapped into our drab little cage and made those walls dissolve away. And for the briefest of moments, every last man at Shawshank felt free." The act earns him 2 weeks in solitary confinement. But to Andy, it was the easiest time he ever did. He tells Red that music and hope are things the prison can't take away. Red, jaded by decades of incarceration, warns him, "Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane." By 1963, Warden Norton has created his Inside Out program, using inmates as cheap slave labor for public works projects. It is a massive scam, and Andy is the man laundering all the dirty money. To protect the warden, Andy invents a phantom person, Randall Stevens, creating a complete paper trail for a man who doesn't exist. Any investigation would lead to this ghost, leaving Andy and the warden untouchable. "I had to come to prison to be a crook." In 1965, a young thief named Tommy Williams arrives at Shawshank. Andy takes him under his wing, helping him study for his high school equivalency diploma. One day, Tommy hears Andy's story and has a shocking revelation. He tells Red about a former cellmate, Elmo Blatch, who bragged about murdering a golf pro and his lover, and how the woman's banker husband took the fall. It is the story of Andy's case. It is the proof of his innocence. Andy takes this explosive information to the warden, believing it his ticket to a new trial. But the warden has no intention of letting his money launderer go free. He dismisses the story, and when Andy persists, throws him into solitary for a month. "It is my life. Don't you understand? It is my life." The warden then has a private chat with Tommy, luring him outside under the pretense of helping. He confirms Tommy's story is true and that he'd testify. Then, Hadley shoots him dead from a guard tower, staging it as an escape attempt. Andy's last hope for legal freedom is executed in cold blood. After 2 months in solitary, Andy returns, a changed man. He seems broken. He talks to Red about his guilt. Not for the murder, but for driving his wife away. He speaks of a place in Mexico, Zihuatanejo, a warm place with no memory. It sounds like a pipe dream to Red, but for Andy, it is a destination. Get busy living, or get busy dying. Andy makes a strange request. He tells Red about a hayfield in Buxton and a specific rock. He makes Red promise that if he ever gets out, he'll find that rock, where something is buried for him. That night, Red and the others worry. Andy's strange talk and his request for a length of rope make them fear the worst. They fear he has reached his breaking point, just like Brooks. The next morning, at Count, Andy Dufresne is not in his cell. The warden is furious. An impossible disappearance. "Lord, it is a miracle." Man up and vanish like a fart in the wind. In his rage, the warden throws one of Andy's polished rocks at the poster of Raquel Welch. The rock tears through the paper, revealing not a wall, but a dark gaping hole. In 1966, Andy Dufresne escaped from Shawshank. All they found was a muddy uniform, a bar of soap, and a rock hammer worn to the nub. Andy did it in less than 20 years. Using the poster as cover, he had chipped away at the wall, a handful at a time, for nearly 2 decades. On the night of his escape, he switched the warden's ledger with his own Bible, and the warden's polished shoes with his own worn-out pair. No one noticed. After all, how often do you really look at a man's shoes? He crawled through 500 yards of sewer pipe, a journey through unimaginable foulness, and emerged into a rainstorm, a free man. The next morning, as his escape was discovered, a man named Randall Stevens began visiting banks. With perfect ID and a matching signature, Andy, as Stevens, closed all the warden's illegal accounts. He walked away with over $370,000 in severance pay for 19 years of his life. He also mailed the evidence of the warden's corruption to a local newspaper. The fallout is swift. Captain Hadley is arrested, sobbing like a child. When police arrive for the warden, he finds the Bible Andy left him. Inside, the cutout for the rock hammer is inscribed, "Within." Rather than face justice, Norton takes his own life. Red receives a blank postcard from Fort Hancock, Texas. He knows Andy made it across the border. Andy Dufresne, who crawled through a river of shit and came out clean on the other side, headed for the Pacific. Years later, after serving 40 years, Red faces the parole board again. This time, he speaks from the heart, abandoning the script he has recited for decades. "I know what you think it means, Sonny. To me, it is just a made-up word, a politician's word, so that young fellas like yourself can wear a suit and a tie and have a job." He speaks of regret, of the stupid kid he once was, and how only this old man is left. Rehabilitated is just a bullshit word, so you go on and stamp your form, Sonny, and stop wasting my time, because to tell you the truth, I don't give a shit. This raw honesty works. His parole is approved. But like Brooks, Red struggles with life on the outside. The world is too fast, and he is too institutionalized. He stands before the same window where he could buy a gun to break parole and go back home. But one thing stops him, a promise made to a friend. Red hitches a ride to Buxton, finds the hayfield, the long stone wall, and the old oak tree. Just as Andy described, he finds a piece of black volcanic glass, beneath it, a small box. Inside is a letter and a stack of cash. Remember, Red hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. With newfound purpose, Red breaks his parole and heads south. He is filled with an excitement he has never known, the excitement of a free man on a journey with an uncertain conclusion. "I hope I can make it across the border. I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams." On a sunny beach in Zihuatanejo, a man is sending an old boat. He looks up and sees a familiar figure walking towards him. Two friends, reunited at last on the shores of a warm sea with no memory. A testament that hope is indeed a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.